What's up, fuckers? Here with Arthur Two Sheds 15 and Big Ben 85.
Hello.
This is Progressive Overload, and we are going to be playing some more Gears of War RAAMs Shadow DLC from Gears of War 3. Continue on from where we left off, whilst we're speaking about discussing our favourite horror games.
Among
So,
other teams.
Yep. Further, some more stupid questions later on, I'm guessing. But first, well, I'm just gonna pose the question, like, knowing the answer anyway.
Yeah.
What is your favorite horror game to play?
It is Dead Space 2.
Oh, really? That one
Yes.
specifically?
Yeah. Obviously, Dead Space was the first of its kind, and it was a brilliant game. But I think that Dead Space 2 just happened to make the right adjustments on the things that were a bit annoying about it. Specifically the puzzles, mainly when you're using when you've got the bits with no gravity. It was better to fly around a bit like Iron Man rather than just jumping from one ledge to the other.
Yeah. I forgot that was like a factor in the second, where he's just like zero gravity areas. Did you go into like open space within Dead Space 2? I can't remember.
There were bits. Where you're on the the hull of the ship and stuff like that. I think.
Yeah, you left the space station. King.
I think at first I didn't feel that way because Dead Space 2 seemed a lot harder than it should have been, but I think that's because I was cocky and I'd already played Dead Space and I went in playing on a harder difficulty than I was ready for.
Oh.
I think it's one of those games where
this game feels a lot harder.
Yeah,
Wait a minute,
definitely.
I'm on a harder difficulty, that might be why.
Well, not harder than played on Dead Space, but obviously knowing what's coming a bit. And also it's one of them games I think where you've got to play through a bit easier and then level up your character and stuff and then play through with those,
and then get back into a harder difficulty
with those level ups, like the better suits and the weapon upgrades.
Yeah,
it would feel a bit annoying, I think, to upgrade all your weapons and then it'd be the end of the game and then you're not getting to play through it again with the upgrade. So that's quite a good feature, but that's on 1 as well, I think.
Is it? I never actually played through the whole of the first one. Actually, I can't remember how far into it I got, but I definitely remember that I didn't finish it completely.
Was that because it started becoming frustrating, or was it just a factor of...
No, I have no idea. Like, I think I just stopped playing it. I probably got like another game at the time, and then just went on to that instead.
So it's your favourite horror game, but you stopped playing it before you'd completed
not the first Dead Space.
Yeah. More the series.
Yeah.
Although I think it did fall off.
I think it was
for
when
me, I didn't finish number 3 because I think I got a bit stuck, and I thought I just didn't think it felt the same. It definitely wasn't as fun. Definitely more.
Well, as they went along, like EA synced their claws into it, like more, like as they progressed. So like the first one was just like the developers, and then like as they went along. Like, obviously, Dead Space 3, EA probably had, like, a bigger say in it compared to the first two.
Yeah, it seems that way.
It was still fun, though.
It's fun. It's not as scary, and I think, although it's good to have horror games with a lot of action, you can go over the top with it, and then it becomes less less disturbing and cerebral and just
like there was
any other game. Then.
There was like crouching behind cover and stuff like that. Mechanics involved in the third one, which you didn't really need in the first and second. It was just about like survival.
They're trying to bridge the gap between like the most popular action games and the series, weren't they? But
yeah, like horror first-person shooter.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I mean, they did a
really.
bit of that in number 2 as well, with a lot more of the quick time events where you've got to press the button and stuff. But it never felt. It rarely felt like too often and out of place. They did at least put it in bits where it belonged.
Yeah. So 2 is your number 1 favorite.
I would have thought like so. It's definitely the one I've played the most. Played the most times through, I think, and would still like want to play now as well. So, second and third. Second, it was probably one of the Resident Evils. I'm tempted to say Resident Evil 4. But it's not. That's not very scary though either. So that sort of goes against what I was saying. I didn't find it scary. I just found it a good game.
4 is definitely a favorite in the like Resident Evil franchise, like line of their games. 4 seems to be the general favorite. I mean, I like 5 as well. Because the way that you have to stand still to like aim or to shoot, it makes you think a little bit more about how you're gonna play through the game rather than just you run through,
just run and
you see an enemy, you aim and shoot. Yeah.
Well done, my children.
And it was pretty scary.
I didn't really play 5. I think what put me off trying it was it looked very sort of like co-op based, and if you had time has shown us that the AI players can be terrible in co-op games.
Yeah.
Having played it since, just had a go on it because it was on Game Pass on Xbox One. In hindsight, I couldn't play it. I think it just seemed too dated, and the controls, as you mentioned, not being able to move, like even when you're gonna like stab them and stuff, it just felt a bit like I felt constricted.
Yeah.
And it was a bit weird that the AI character wasn't like, I had run out of ammo and the AI character wasn't shooting one of the bigger enemies that needed shooting when they had plenty of ammo. It was a bit weird.
Yeah.
Just seemed like
Couldn't you
too
take
many
the ammo
things.
off them?
I didn't see how to. I shouldn't have given them in the first place. I didn't realise it gave them all your ammo when they ran out.
Yeah.
Apart from what's in your weapon already, it just pretty much gives them the
there
whole
was a
box.
way where you could I think there was a way where you could get ammunition from them as well.
Yeah.
That's just from memory.
I think by that point I'd already decided that it felt a bit too dated. I mean, games now, the modern games on the Xbox One, and you don't realise what you're doing as much. It's just so intuitive and fluid on most of the top games. I think you can end up taking it for granted, but like Gears 4, I mean, we're playing this now, this is pretty close to extremely polished, but Gears of War 4 is just so smooth, and how you move and everything, and you rarely ever, I mean, you still do sometimes get caught out, but it doesn't feel like the controls are fighting you and what you want to do. And
yeah. This is a different kind of game though compared to like the Resident Evil one.
I think if you they're very different controls, that's for sure. I think if you put in the time, you get used to it, but then you wouldn't be able to like play any other games alongside it. Not forever,
I think
but
you could. Not
not
just,
along.
like, you should be able to get used to more than just one style of controls. I don't think you'd get a bit too confused if, like, in one game you had to stand still to shoot, and then the other you could move.
And
You might make that mistake once.
If you
but
can
then
name
after
another
that, you probably
game
get
that
used to it.
uses A as reload, then I'll concede that point.
Well, have you played the Metal Gear Solid the collection that they did on Xbox One or something? Have you tried that?
No. I've tried
The
Peace Walker, I think it was. That had some weird controls because it was a PSP game, I think.
yeah, the controls they have in the collection, especially the first Metal Gear Solid, is you have to hold right bumper to aim, and then when you let go of the bumper, that's when he shoots.
Yeah.
So he doesn't shoot when you press the button. He only shoots when you let go. It's
Yeah.
so weird.
It's,
That was definitely a game that I could not get used to controls. Like, it was too far from
it's too
what I was
much.
used
You've
to.
got to think. You've got to use your brain a little too much when you should be concentrating
Yeah.
on the game itself.
Yeah. Do you have a third favorite horror?
I'm thinking. I don't know whether it's because we sort of half mentioned it before we did the podcast, but The Evil Within was pretty good. It still had its flaws, but in terms of
Gameplay and
it had some familiarity because it had. I'm pretty sure it used the Resident Evil engine, and it was.
yeah,
Was it made
Well,
by
and
the
the
same
developer-
people as well?
yeah. The
But
guy who
they'd-
did Resident Evil 4, he made that.
Yeah, that'll explain it. But
Yeah.
I found that was oh shit. I think
Did he get squished?
yeah. I vaguely remember that from when I played it through the first time as well. That bit I should have.
Yeah.
I was too busy talking. So we were on about Evil Within. That was scarier than Resident Evil's, I think. Maybe not in terms of jump scares, but in terms of like disturbing and integrating what's happening with the story and things like that.
Yeah. So, my top 3, same as yours. Dead Space 2 is my favorite.
Yeah.
I couldn't say whether I would prefer the first one because I didn't play it all the way through, so I couldn't
Yeah.
really make a valid judgment from that. Just from like playing probably 3/4 of the game. But definitely the second. I played through that a few times. It was enjoyable, like every time.
Yeah.
Just playing through again with like the new unlocked armor and upgraded weapons is definitely making you want to replay it through again.
Yeah, but like bump the difficulty up so it's not like just an easy
Yeah.
speed run then.
Yeah. And my second is the game I've just finished recently, Resident Evil 2 Remake. That
Right,
was
yeah.
hella fun.
I would have thought that I'd be in agreement with you, probably have it in my list, but I've not actually played it. I've seen gameplay of it and stuff.
Yeah. Definitely the whole setting, it just puts you on edge for most of the time. Mr. X obviously making an appearance within the first third of the game. And in the original Resident Evil 2, he didn't actually make an appearance until you completed the game, like
Right.
the first time.
Yeah, you had to
So
do, like,
he'd only
another
show up in the
playthrough.
second run. Yeah. Just
But this
obviously that would be
this remake still has the replay value, doesn't it? Because there's other things that
yeah.
that can happen in the campaign. There's two different campaigns, isn't there? With
Yeah.
variations.
Yeah, they're not that big of a variation. Some of them are like it's quite similar. I think you still go to like the same kind of areas. It's just you come across some different people
Yeah,
within the two different stories. It would have been better if like it would have been entirely different like settings for both of them, but I'm not complaining. I still enjoyed like the areas that you do go to. There's still like as you progress through the story, there's still difference in like settings around you. You go into the
Yeah.
sewers and then into the umbrella facility underground.
so they've clearly thought
No.
about like second playthroughs and things. They don't
Yeah.
just go, oh, we'll just as soon as we got their money, we don't care. Like some of the later EA games and things.
And they shortly released the extra story modes that you can also play through that are quite short.
But you don't have to pay for those, do you?
No, they were free. They were
Well,
just
that's
like an
fair enough
update
then,
that they
isn't it?
released a few months after they released the game. That was pretty cool. I haven't played through them yet. They look fun. And they all have like different difficulties, so there's an easy one, a normal one, and a really hard one. I think you just come across more enemies within like the harder difficulties.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
Yeah, it does
quite
look
short. It was only
enjoyable.
it was only about 8 hours. And that was me like trying to explore as much as I could within the game within the first round. Took me about 8 hours, so
Yeah.
it's like
I think-
relatively short, but like base.
I think
considering
most
it's based
people
off of,
who were buying it knew that it was going to be quite short, though, didn't they? And
Yeah,
still wanted
It
it
was based off-
regardless.
the original was like obviously short as well. And when was that made? In the 90s?
Yeah, late 90s, I think.
Yeah.
Or mid 90s, maybe.
Yeah, sometime in the 90s anyway. So, obviously a massive improvement in terms of graphics, but it has been like 20 years.
Yeah. Well, those
So do you
games,
think?
number 1 and 2 were really good, but I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a really good idea that they remade it rather than remastered it, because there's too many.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be too dated to remaster it and then have the tank controls where you know
Yeah,
you're not got the over the shoulder look and you're constantly moving in the wrong direction because you're just going off what you can see on the camera, and then it suddenly changes when you
yeah,
And
the
you're
camera
moving
modes
about.
would be janky as fuck. Like, I don't think anybody would have liked that, which is why they probably changed it to the over-the-shoulder view. It definitely looks. It works well that way.
They did. They just did a straight remaster of the first one, I think. But the people who bought that, I think,
Yeah.
would have just bought it for the nostalgia. I don't think anybody who had never played the game would buy that and then think, "Oh, this is really good," the way it is.
Well, I mean, if like somebody had heard of the game and knew it was good, then instead of obviously playing the original as it looked, then you'd probably want to try the remastered version just to give it something a little more visually appealing
Yeah.
compared to
Yeah,
the triangles that you'd have to see in the original.
yeah. Yeah, they didn't even have mouths or anything, did they, in the very first one?
Yeah. It's like squares. Square faces. Headshot.
I think that's what puts me off trying this Silent Hills, because I'll just know that it'd be too dated now for me to try them. Even about
Yeah.
5 or 10 years ago, I'd have thought they just felt dated, so I didn't try them. But I maybe should have tried them at the time, and they might have ended up in my list.
Yeah. They were definitely supposed to be really good. I never played, but I never played the original Resident Evil 1, 2, or 3. I definitely had them on the original. That was an unnecessary headshot there, like an execution.
Yeah. Would you rather I just toyed with him and shot him in the feet?
Could have just slapped him about a little. Give him a few slaps. Bitch slap him. Yeah, I never played the originals, but I knew a lot of people enjoyed them, so I figured instead of just playing through the originals in their old, ugly, lucky version, I'd just wait. I didn't want to play the remastered first Resident Evil because of the controls. Like, they were like the original camera angles in all the rooms. It was just a set view within each room, and it would do a cutscene every time you'd go through a door.
Oh yeah, that was they probably could have, because those were basically loading screens back in the day, but they could have got rid of that, but they've kept it just to try and keep it as the same as possible, really. But yeah, I don't know whether I would have got rid of that.
Yeah. But I chose to pick up Resident Evil 2 because of the changes that they made. Obviously, there weren't that cutscene within every door frame. There wasn't the set camera view within each room. It's a lot more like up-to-date style play.
Like it's a remake, isn't it? It's not a remaster, which I think possibly
yeah
more games should do, because a lot of games are best left in the memory, really, unless they're updated considerably. I mean, some people might think that it's bastardizing them, but there might be certain point-and-click games and stuff like that from many moons ago, but that's more PC territory. I don't think we've really got any in our list that, to consider a PC.
No.
I think a lot of the horror games where you don't shoot anyone and you just sort of experience it as a sort of like an interactive movie, and that do look good for the PC, but I've not really experienced them. I've just seen like clips and things, but it doesn't look like you do a lot. It just looks like you're watching a movie, you're in a movie sort of thing, and you move about as you want to and escape and things, but you don't really collect weapons
Outlast.
and shoot them. A bit like Outlast, yeah. I found Outlast was enjoyable, but I didn't find myself, itching to play it again. When I tried it at a mate's house, and it was a good idea.
It definitely created that kind of like setting where you feel on edge as you're exploring the asylum. But I just don't find horror games that base around hiding from the enemy or like from the monsters that scary, because there's not really much to do in it. It's just you hear a sound, it's a monster who's gone on his way, so you just hide in a closet or under a bed somewhere, and he doesn't see you, so he just walks off, and that's it, and then you just keep playing some more.
They need plenty of ways that you can outsmart them and this, that and the other, not just, get in a cupboard until they've gone by. That's not right. I mean, the odd little bit in a game like that where to break up the action is okay, but the whole game, it does get a bit like where you go, well, just get me on Resident Evil now instead.
Yeah, and it's a lot more daunting when you come across a big monster or something, and you realize that you have to kill him to move on, instead of just hiding somewhere. And I like the fact that I like being able to fight back in like the horror games, and I like how, like in Dead Space 2, or just in the Dead Space series in general, and in Resident Evil, that there's still enemies that you can't kill. So then that just adds another layer of the gameplay. So you can't run. I mean, you can't hide from them because it's not that kind of game, and you can't shoot them. So you're left with one option, and that is to run away for the time, or just to slow them down in any way that you can.
I did find that a bit weird in some of the Resident Evil games. They didn't really frame it properly. In that there was bits where shooting the enemy wouldn't do anything. Clearly, like, because it's scripted, it's in the game that it wouldn't do anything. But then in another bit, all you had to do to kill them was shoot them. So it was a bit of a. I think it was what comes to mind. Keep nearly saying Gears because we're playing Gears. Resident Evil 6 was definitely one where that happened a lot, where the enemy would just be unkillable in one way until it was like the second time you came across them, and then you could kill them. So it has to be like part of the. Either you've not got any weapons there, or like you need to shoot something else to explode to hurt them, rather than just 1 minute they're indestructible, the next they're not.
Yeah, at least in the Resident Evil 2, it became apparent when you could kill Mr.
Yeah,
X,
it was obvious
because you literally get given a rocket launcher, and it's just like, there you go.
Yeah.
Go to town.
If they make it clear, or like it doesn't have its weak spot exposed or something at that point, and this, that, and the other. But on vague, I mean, it's been a while since I played 6 because I never want to play that game again.
It's trash.
But
it may as well
I remember it
replaced
having, and because you could be different, there was different campaigns. So some people had like really strong weapons, and you're using them again. You're wasting it all on this enemy that you don't realise you can't kill until you just think this has been far too long without anything happening. That game is one of the best examples of them going over the top with action rather than suspense and horror and managing your consumables, etc.
They could have replaced the CD in the sleeve for the video game for a cookie with a hole in it, and I think people would have been more happy with the outcome to that than the disc.
I'd have definitely been more happy. I mean, I think I paid full price for it as well because I just trusted that the Resident Evil games are good. I think you get.
Yeah.
There was a time when you just get pretty much guaranteed if it was a certain franchise, then it would be a good game. But that's soon changed, really. Having said that, that Resident Evil game that was first person, where you just aim, it like it's on
7?
rails and you just aim. No. Talking.
Where is it? Just
old school.
Like
I think it's called Nemesis, and it that was a bit of a change in the genre and it didn't look very good.
Didn't they do Resident Evil 3? Wasn't there like a variation of 3 where it was called Nemesis?
Maybe that, it might be. Maybe 3 was the first person one. I always forget what 3 involved.
3 wasn't a first person one. It was just, you was in Raccoon City and you played, is it Jill Valentine?
That's the name of the one from
it's
the
Jill
first
Valentine.
one.
You play her in the 3rd, and you come across that Nemesis, the Tyrant. and it's in Raccoon City.
Yeah. And it was still the tank controls then, wasn't it? The weird perspective of the camera, was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it seems weird now. It wasn't weird then, but yeah, I didn't.
Well, I think
3 sort of was never on my radar. I don't ever remember that coming out and things like that. Mustn't have been very good, I guess, if nobody don't ever hear anybody raving about 3.
no. I was I think I had 3 on my. Well, I think I had a PlayStation 1 cousin or something, and it had loads of. It was chipped, and it had a
Yeah.
load of like games on there as well. And I think that had one of. I think it had Resident Evil 2 and 3 on there, but they weren't just copies. They were actual like the authentic games.
Yeah.
But I never played that as a kid. Was too young at the time, and I was just like, hell no, that shit looks scary as shit.
Yeah, I think also when you're younger, certain games that won't be that scary seem a lot scarier. I'm not sure actually whether I would put a different if they took that into consideration. If age wasn't a factor, that I think it was because I was younger and it was scarier at the time.
Yeah.
I had Alien versus Predator on the PC, not the one that's made it to Xbox. That's awful by today's standards. It was on PC, like I said. I think that that must have been early 2000s or maybe late 90s as well. So the graphics would be bad by today's standards, but I remember it being really scary at the time.
Yeah.
It had like quite dark corridors, and you had your torch on your pulse rifle, and had all the right noises, like the proper alien sounds, and the pulse rifle made the exact right sounds. And you could hear the face huggers scuttling along the floor and stuff, and then they'd whip on your face and you'd jump out of your seat. So that was quite good. I think I'd rate that quite highly. It's just not one that I don't think it would scare me in the slightest now, because the graphics would just be too dated. And I think the AI was really bad, if I remember correctly. It's been ages since I played it, but a lot of Alien Trilogy, I played that on the Sega Saturn, and that was a pretty good Alien game for at the time. But it wasn't scary either. I don't remember ever getting scared playing that.
Yeah.
It's where it has, the flat sprites, but the environment's 3D.
Yeah.
Like Doom.
Yeah, I was just about to say. Or Wolfenstein.
Yeah. A bit more updated than that, but still that same style. But that wasn't a bad game at the time.
No. So we both got Dead Space 2 as our first favourite, and Resident Evil
Some form of Resident Evil.
in general, as a second. I just like the fact that they've created the whole over-the-shoulder view for like horror games that seem to be doing. Still seems to be like a general favourite format for them now.
Yeah, I think first person, especially if you're going to add. I know Resident Evil doesn't do it a lot, but if you're going to add melee and things in to a game with zombies in particular, I don't think the first person really works.
No.
And obviously, like we were saying, you can't go back to the cam reviews where you've got it's got to constantly swap. So it's
they were horrible.
Probably the best view. And then you can see stuff like, unlike first person, you can see when they're injured and they're limping and stuff. It doesn't have to exactly have an energy bar all the time. which can add
No,
to
yeah.
the atmosphere, not having much of a HUD.
Yeah, that's one thing that I like about the Resident Evil 2 is there's nothing on the screen, like in terms of your ammunition or stuff like that. Unless
Well, Dead
I think
Space had it on
it
the
shows up as you
weapon
reload.
and your health on your
Yeah.
back, but they still did it subtly. It wasn't a heads-up
Yeah,
display, it was all in the
They
game,
did that
wasn't it?
purposefully because
Yeah.
they didn't want a HUD on the game. They just wanted it like in a form which that can still be seen for the player, but without actually having it on screen,
Yeah,
like
and it's more realistic that way.
blatant. Yeah. So they were really clever with that. Am I just kicking
Because
this
it's
fence?
sci-fi, you can have the weapons like having
Yeah.
the ammo count and things on. I think that's we didn't really mention I mentioned that it was scary and that it was fun to play, but the sounds and the atmosphere that it created. I mean, all of the sounds, the xenomorphs, they were just the right sort of pitch and everything to be scary and make you wonder, oh fuck, is it around the corner? And all the little sci-fi noises like the blips for the Navi, and the doors and everything. It just seemed to have like be just right. And then if you ever heard those noises again, they're not like generic. That you'd always know that that's Dead Space sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think the
definitely
music
noticed
was
that in,
dynamic as well. I'm not sure if any of the Resident Evil games beforehand was like properly when the xenomorphs appear and stuff on Dead Space, the music changes and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not sure
like what
whether Resident
Resident
Evil did that before Dead Space did.
I don't know. I know they definitely did it in 2 with the Mr. X. Whenever you hear him, the music changes.
Yeah.
And then you can start hearing his footsteps.
Yeah, but that's
So that was
more
quite
of a
cool.
scripted because they know when that's going to appear at a certain time in the game all the time. Whereas I mean, obviously it's not scripted. It can't be scripted every time the enemies appear because it comes and goes.
No,
when
it's
you...
like it comes and goes in the remake as well. It's not just like there the whole time when
Oh, but that's
Mr. X suddenly appears up.
the remake.
It's just
well
when-
after Dead Space was.
Yeah.
Did it. I mean, there's probably other games that use dynamic music, but I think that was one of the first games that I realised that it could be so effective.
Yeah.
It's that well done that at first I don't think you realise that it's dynamic because you're too busy shitting your pants, basically. Now loads of games do it. Nearly all games do it to a degree.
Yeah.
Like when we're playing Battlefield and things, when it's coming towards the end of the round and that, it starts building. The music starts building up.
Yeah. So, and my third favorite would also be The Evil Within.
So we're agreed.
I think the story
almost.
was a bit. Yeah, I think the story was a bit lackluster in that game. Oh shit! Nearly blew myself up. The gameplay though, and the setting, and just like the general feel.
The story wasn't amazing,
General
but the way it merged in with while you were playing, rather than it didn't feel like two separate things too much. Like, oh, now there's a story bit, so here's a cutscene sort of thing.
Yeah. And the way that, again, like Resident Evil, you don't have a lot of ammunition to go to like live off.
No.
It keeps you on edge whenever you come across any enemy.
You could lure them into traps and things, couldn't you, as well? On that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's stuff like bear traps or like
So you could use your
things.
brain to use less ammo and things, but it wasn't a
Yeah,
case of that's the only way you can kill him. So it was a good
yeah,
balance.
yeah.
I
They
do think
also,
again though the controls. I mean, you get used to them, but I do think they weren't perfect. I think I remember having a second playthrough of it and thinking, this is hard to just try and speed through and kill everything stylishly, sort of thing.
yeah, I can't really remember that much about the controls.
I think when you sort of mixed up in the story and everything like that, you don't notice as much. But when you're trying to play it on a harder difficulty and sort of the bits coming up and you're speeding through it a bit more, you notice that they
Yeah.
can be a bit niggly. But most horror games, to be fair, even Dead Space, there are times when you get a bit stuck, but that's usually through panic. But
Like the zero gravity, when you become disorientated, you're like, which way is down?
yeah, I think some of the Gears games, I mean, they're not really close to horror, but I think they did try and employ some of the tactics
Yeah.
in the first game. When you see the wretches for the first time, it was
Yeah.
trying to like build the atmosphere. Gears 3 as well, the infected,
In the lab.
anything that's touched the I forgot what it's called now, emulsion, anything that's touched
Yeah.
the emulsion, the first time you come across them, it seemed to try and make it a bit of a scary affair. I didn't really get scared, but they used a lot of the tactics that you would.
In the lab, when they're trying to escape that glass-like rain,
Yeah,
and they come across those like vats with those kind of, they look like locusts, but they weren't the same, were they?
lambent drones.
Was that them?
I think they are grubs, but they've been infected by the emulsion.
Yeah.
But they don't like each
Oh, yeah,
other, do
when
they?
you-
Because in horde mode they like fight each other and stuff. So that was quite
Yeah.
good to have them do that.
Yeah, when you first come across them and you're walking around and you reveal more about what happened in there, kind of added to like a horror style as well. So to summarize,
We've not really had anything really off the wall or unpredictable in our
no,
choices,
really.
have we? But we've not really played any weird, like obscure Steam games or anything and
no.
been blown away
played,
by them anyway.
I played, I think it's called Oxenfree, something like that. That's an indie horror game. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's just a short game, but the story's
it's not going to make it to your top 5 even, never mind your top
No.
3 or whatever.
no. It would be in like the top 5 list of favorite indie games I've played, but
Yeah,
I haven't played. I've played like maybe 3 or 4. I haven't even played 5, I don't think. So that would be, it'd be on that list, but not on horror games in general, because the other ones on the list are just other full-fledged games rather than just short indie ones.
yeah, like AAA.
Yeah, big old titles.
I
Big
think
old tittles.
judging from what we've said, it's not as much as they're amazing when they're done right. Survival horror games, they're probably not our favourite genre because it's not like we've played all of them and
Yeah,
been disappointed by
there
some
aren't
and not
that
others.
many
But
good ones.
no,
I think that's one of the issues. Otherwise, we probably would be willing to play more. There's just haven't been that many that aren't a part of a series already. You know, like Resident Evil.
Yeah, they tend to think, well, they know what they're doing with those, so we'll leave them to it. Because a lot must go into them. You've got to write a really good story to go with it, and a lot of the like collectibles and things you get along the way add to the story.
Yeah.
And then it still has to be atmospheric and fun to play and stuff on top of that, and balanced with the amount of ammo you get and things like that.
Yeah, don't give too many, otherwise you can feel comfortable within playing the game, and you're not in that feeling of it's a survival horror game.
Definitely,
Where
because
you
I mean,
could just die at any moment.
in an action game, if they give you a little too much ammo on one bit, you might not even really notice. It's just
It's like God mode.
yeah.
I can kill everything.
So we've pretty much agreed on. I mean, we've had slight differences in which ones of each, but pretty agreed on those.
Yeah. And would you be up for playing a new Dead Space if they made one?
I think I'd hope that they'd go back more to their roots with it.
Yeah.
But I think I'd possibly give them another chance.
Yeah.
But again, it couldn't just be it couldn't be too similar to the first and second, because both of them, on the second one he returns to the ship again from the first, so
Oh, the Ishimura.
yeah. So it's not it's probably not a
It's
good
just
one
like
to
he's back
remaster
for a
or
third time.
yeah, it'd be too much that, I think. But so it could be
Nah.
set in
Well,
in a place like Free or whatever, have a bit of a different environment like the snow and that, but then just feel more like one of the older games in terms of the action and the...
Less EA.
Yes. Just let them do their thing with it.
EA can get their fucking out of the developer's ass.
Yeah, and just
Stop using them like
the
a
money.
puppet. Yeah. I think they get enough like AAA titles as it is that turn out to be shit. Battlefront 2. Well, they definitely improved that, like, since the release date, because people were not happy when that first came out. But yeah, Dead Space, Resident Evil, Evil Within. There's the three right there.
Honourable mention to Alien vs Predator, although I think that might have been an age thing that was... Right, okay, I've got a silly question for you after all of those. So you either have to decide to have a 25% chance of shitting yourself every time you fart, or you have to feel like you need a shit 24/7, but you never actually shit your pants.
So either every time I go, I need to. So every
1 in 4 chance of
a time
shitting your pants when you fart,
when I fart.
or you just constantly feel like you need to shit, but you don't ever shit your pants.
Yeah. I think I'd go for the chance that I'd shit my pants, because the feeling to need a shit 24/7 would just be horrible.
Yeah, you've got to factor in as well that you 24/7.
Like, how
not
bad...
even when you're sleeping would you ever truly.
Yeah. Oh my god, that would be awful. Trying to sleep like that.
And also, one thing I thought about it was you'd have to like just sit on the toilet every so often to try for one, because you'd constantly feel like you needed one, and you would sooner or later have to expel your waste.
So you'd never know when you actually would need one?
Yeah. Although, as I
it's
said,
just
you
the
wouldn't crap your pants, so you'd never get caught out, but you would have to, like,
Yeah.
every so often go and have a try.
Yeah. A push.
I think I'm with you on
And
that.
also,
I think I'd go for the, even though it's quite a big percentage chance.
yeah. Right, a couple things though. When you say there's a chance to shit yourself, if you do shit yourself, will it always be like a full turd, or is it just like a little nugget?
Never a bunny poop, not a little nugget, but sometimes it might be a bit liquidy, sometimes it'd be a full log.
Right. And also, for the other option, when you say you constantly need a shit, like, is it always you need a shit badly right now, like 10 out of 10? Or does it just like come in waves? Is it just like mild every now and then?
It doesn't come in waves, but sometimes it's like gonna turn myself now. Sometimes it's like the feeling of I've got 5 minutes work until I need to get to a toilet type thing. But never,
Right.
It's never really low on the scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't-
I think I'd still have to go with the shit myself.
Yeah. He's just standing right on top of you. Oh, is it not you?
It's not me.
Yeah. I thought you'd probably thought I was
I'm,
just ignoring.
Barrack.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go for that. It's quite a big percentage chance, but still. Even a 50-50, you might have to go for the shit in your pants, because it's just ruined your life the other way. Well, it'd be... I suppose you could sort of... You'd have
I'd
to
probably
sort of,
rather die.
I suppose you'd sort of have to let people know, especially if it was a 50-50 chance, like you work and things like that. People have to let people know that that was part of it.
I have this condition. Sometimes I shit myself, and I don't know when. But like the needing to poop 24/7 would be a horrible existence.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, last time was there was a shit related one, so I had to at least get one shit related one, but I'll try not to make them all turd related. This next one is this isn't so much silly as well, it is a bit silly, but it's more disturbing. There's this. Do you watch Black Mirror? I think you do, don't you?
I haven't seen the most
Certain
recent.
ones.
I've seen a couple. I have not watched many.
There's this like really haunting Black Mirror episode where the Prime Minister, to save a hostage.
That's the first episode, isn't it?
I'm not sure it's the first one.
It's within the first series, anyway.
The Prime Minister, to save a hostage, he has to fuck a pig live on live TV as like the ransom. So if it was in the same situation, you were in the same situation pretty much, or there was like a gun to your head or whatever, but you got to choose the animal at least. What animal would you choose to have to fuck?
Oh, wow. That's an interesting question. Fucking hell. I don't even know where
Send me
to...
it's your choice, but it's not really. It's not like, oh yes, I would love to...
I don't even know where to start with that.
Yeah, it's a difficult one.
Like, how would you even start? Like, pick an animal to... You got one animal there you need to bone.
Well,
now pick which one.
Well, you've got to sort of fit the only things you can really think. Obviously, you're not going to have any sexual attraction to anything, but you're like, well, which you could think, well, which would cause the least pain for the animal, or which would be the, trying to match
Horse?
in sizes, or
The mare. Yeah,
Well,
mare.
yeah, the
Because then I can
closest-
go with the. I can go with the JRH NBR rule. When they're just the right height, no bucket required. So you don't have to stand on a bucket to get up in there. So yeah, I'll go with the mare.
with a what?
Like the guy who likes to go at it with horses as well as his wife.
Oh yeah.
Like that great TLC episode. What animal would you pick?
It's got to be, for me, I would say chimp, because they're
closest to the real thing.
yeah, exactly. It's like there's something like 98.5% genetically identical to us. So I could say something like, it's only 1.5% bestiality. It's not proper bestiality.
You like the big ass they got.
It'd just
Or
be like
the
doing
tall, spindly
Julia
legs of the
Roberts'
horse.
face. So. But any animal, no matter what animal you picked, it's gonna be social. It's like
Shameful.
social kill your social life completely.
Yeah.
There's a better way of putting that than just, oh no, people will think I'm silly. They won't talk to me, but ruin your life. But you save.
It would definitely be something
this
you would
person.
never forget.
Oh, definitely not. That's what I think they made a good point of, how it's like he's a national hero sort of to people,
Yeah.
but then he goes back to his wife, and obviously she won't touch him.
Yeah.
Barely
you'd have
wants to know him at
like,
all.
constantly. You'd have to get constant contact with that person you saved and say, "You better be freaking grateful for this, because I have lost everything."
In that episode as well, it's like it's like sort of says it has to be to completion or whatever. You can't just.
No, I can't remember.
I think it ends up being like an hour. They've
I remember
even
it
got
being a
like
long
these
time.
advisors and things saying, well, if you're too quick, it might seem like you're enjoying it, and if it's too long
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
that can also, like,
Yeah,
you're trying to
'cause it had to be
prolong
on
it.
Live television as well.
But anybody who's not watched Black Mirror, and they're not all
Oh.
just about pig fucking, they are pretty good advice. Anybody to watch it. At least I must admit, I appreciate
Oh.
that you answered that question. You didn't just straight out refuse to. 'Cause I'm pretty sure.
No, I was definitely gonna answer it.
I'm pretty sure it's one of them things where you couldn't actually go through with it, but it's just for hypothetical answers.
Hey, I just want to stand on a bucket. Fuck a horse, okay?
You could stand on a bucket for
This-
an elephant.
Yeah, but that's too much ass.
Yeah.
And the horse is like got some like definition in their muscle.
It
Good,
could
strong
boot,
backside.
boot you in the head while you're going at it. To
Yeah, but
preoccupied.
I'm assuming in these scenarios it's at least a safe situation in which you're not going to get like kicked in the chest or whatever.
Yeah, we should add in it that it's going to be consensual and enjoyed by the animal, so it's not a matter of. It's not a matter of.
By the horse. Is it okay if I bone you?
It's not a matter of whether or not it'd be bad for the
Just let this happen.
animal.
What are we doing here? Do we have to wait until he gets rid of the krill? Yeah, we do. So how would you do with the chimp then? Missionary.
There'd definitely be
style.
some Barry White going on.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
maybe they'd like
Would you do it at your
Sounds
place
of the
or
Jungle or
in
something
the
like that. I don't think
sounds
I
of
could.
chimps going at it?
I don't think I could do it in my own house because it'd just forever. I mean, you'd not. It's not like you wouldn't think about
Remind
it anyway.
yourself.
But you just look at your bed every night and go, oh, "I'll go over on the sofa then." Even then, it's oh god.
What
You'd be
would you do it in
paranoid
like
that
in
your stuff
a
smelled.
chimp habitat? Like a zoo?
Yeah, let the other chimps have
Would you?
have a show. Might as
A
well.
JO over it.
Just do what you do, fellas.
You like this, huh? You like this? Yeah. This is for you guys.
I find it hard to believe. I mean, obviously it's believable because it's such a benevolent thing, if that's the right word. But it's hard to get your head round the fact that bestiality is a thing.
Yeah, I know.
You just
I mean,
If it was-
furries is one thing. Somebody dressed as like an animal, but then like going to actually bang the animal itself.
Yeah, it's fair enough if it's like, oh, I've come to this party as a bunny and they've got bunny rabbit ears and a little tail. Still, they're going to be sexually attractive, but actual bunnies don't then become sexy just because there's Playboy bunnies or whatever.
Yeah, it's quite a difference there.
It must just, but obviously it's like some wires must get crossed in the brain, for want of a better expression. But the amount of people that, for it to have a name that's commonly known, there must be enough people that more than you'd probably think.
Yeah.
Jessica Rabbit, she's disgusting.
Roger Rabbit, hot as fuck.
Well, I meant she's disgusting for getting with Roger, but yeah. I suppose it's not quite as disgusting if they're animated. It's okay then for it to be written into children's movies and
Well, then
TV
it's
programs
appealing
and stuff.
to a different audience. Where's it gone? Yep.
Oh, is that it?
Boom.
Did you get him as
I have
well?
a
'Cause
feeling
I didn't really
so.
see anything
Yeah, I got him.
happen.
He was just like strafing in the air, and I didn't realize you had to shoot him at that point.
That must be why we couldn't remember her name, because she doesn't even last to. She lasts one DLC.
Because she's a weak ass hoe who dies like the earliest chance that she can. Noise. If you might not be able to tell until you load the game up now, because you've heard me produce the exact same noise. Okay.
That guy looked quite a lot like Louis C.K. I was about to say. So that's
Which one?
That's where one of the first ones that pops up. That's where he's been hiding, but this was before he had to go into hiding for a little bit.
Did he? What for?
For many a sexual act on not on women. He was like getting
On a women.
on a women on. I couldn't decide on what sentence to pick there. He was
I've been
basically
banging on
the
a
one
woman
that
soon.
he got caught out for was jacking his dick off in front of somebody. I think they were a fellow
In public?
I'm not sure actually if it was like backstage because it was another comedian. I think it was a female comedian. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, comedians get their dicks out in front of each other all the time and stuff like that, but I don't think it was like that sort of context. Apparently so. It was talked about quite a lot when that was brought up. That incident.
Yeah.
He has actually started doing stand up again since then for about a year ago. One of the sets has leaked on YouTube, and it actually seemed quite funny, but because it's clearly just somebody recording it with their phone, and you can hear their laughter like really close up and annoying, so it gets too annoying. But we've swapped to Gears 4 for anyone who hasn't realised.
Yep. And I've got some stupid questions to ask you, my friend. Well, one of them's funny in a stupid way, and the other one's just like a kind of interesting scenario.
Oakley dokley.
So, do you want the stupid funny one first, or the more sensible one?
Let's go for a stupid funny one, because we've had some stupid ones. So,
okay, stupid funny one. Would you rather... Right, this is a scenario. You're either in a world where shit tastes like chocolate, or you're in a world that chocolate tastes like shit. So which one?
well,
And obviously in both worlds
If
you're
shit-
eating them. So in
you
the other
have
world,
to eat
yeah.
shit.
So in the world where shit tastes like chocolate, people eat that instead of chocolate. And then in the other world, people still eat chocolate, but it tastes like shit.
But do I have to eat chocolate?
Yeah.
So it makes no difference, really, does it? Other than it'd be horrible to watch people eating shit, even though you know that it.
Yeah, but in one world you're eating
tastes
shit, and the other
chocolate.
one you're just eating chocolate that tastes bad.
Yeah. I'm going.
So
for
would you
the-
be more willing
the
to eat
chocolate
shit that tastes good?
No, I think I'm gonna, because I mean I don't eat chocolate that often enough that it's like the end of the world to me, I guess.
But in this
I think
scenario,
I'd
you gotta eat
rather
it.
have to eat chocolate that doesn't taste good than like be in a world where everybody's like eating it. You see people eating their shit or other people's shit or whatever. I just can't get enough of this stuff.
A shit shop where people make very fine shits. High-end shits.
How about yourself then?
I'd probably go. Oh, I'd go with the shit tasting chocolate. Because either way, eating shit is not gonna be good for your system.
Well, yeah, I suppose. That's a consideration as well.
It'd probably
If they
make
still
you
have
really
like,
ill.
pretty much the same properties other than taste,
Yeah.
and the fact that you're forced to eat it.
Yeah.
I don't remember anybody's like pinning me down and saying, "Eat this chocolate, god damn it."
Well, in this scenario, you do.
Yeah.
You gotta eat this
tastes like
shitty tasting
excrement.
chocolate, or eat shit that tastes like chocolate.
Yeah, it's not as an adjective. It would taste of actual shit.
Okay, and then the other one. Would you rather see?
Yes.
Would you rather see 10 minutes into your own future, or 10 minutes into somebody else's future, apart from your own? Because you don't know what you're gonna see
10
if
minutes.
you see into somebody else's future.
It depends on the person as well, doesn't it? Because it could be somebody
It's-
you say, or somebody who their lives might have an effect on yours.
Yeah. So, to expand the scenario, I'll give a bit more detail. Every day, in where you see your own future, it's a random 10 minutes during each, like, of the next day. But in the scenario when it's another person, it's a random. It could be a random person every day, just like
Yeah.
the 10 minutes of their next day.
10 minutes of your next day, I mean, you might not be able to do anything about it at the time because it's sort of fate, it's already happened and stuff, but you could maybe think of things that that you've learnt from that 10 minutes to apply to your life, I guess. Like how am I going to react to that after it's happened? You can start thinking about that early.
Yeah, because otherwise,
Some
like,
random
obviously you can't change
future,
it.
it's just like there's nothing you can really do unless it was ended up being somebody you know.
Yeah,
It could be somebody you know, and they could be
Yeah.
like saying horrible things about you that you shouldn't really be hearing. I'm guessing that goes on a lot. So,
probably. Probably happens for everyone.
or you could see something that's like very disturbing that emotionally affects you as well. Like, could be traumatic.
Your mom getting railed. Mama? Try and pull at your heartstrings to get the money from you. Oh, mommy, why?
How about you? Which would you go? I'm pretty sure. I mean, both have their drawbacks, and
I think I'd.
I suppose the fact that it doesn't affect you could be another reason to choose it, though. If it doesn't affect you, then at least it's going to impact you the least negatively.
So, which one would you definitively pick then?
If I had to choose, I'm pretty certain it would be my future.
Oh, okay.
Because I could at least try to apply that to be a positive.
Yeah. I would pick.
It'd be bad the day that it's like, oh, it's accidentally the time that you get hit by a bus or whatever, and then you like got a whole day of going, I wouldn't have known that was going to happen, thanks.
Why does this all matter? I'm gonna get hit by a bus anyway. I would definitely pick the other person, a different person's future. Just because
you
it would
just
be.
don't want to know.
No, not that. Well,
your own.
A bit of that, yeah, because I don't want to be like. It would make me worry about whatever. Like, if it was bad, it would make me worry about those 10 minutes, even though I knew it was going to happen anyway. And I would just have to come to terms with that anyway, which I probably would, but it would just make me worry more throughout the day, which I would like to avoid. And I think seeing 10 minutes into other people's future, like, just that random people, I think that would be quite interesting.
Would you ever try and reach out to him?
Nah.
Try and find out who it is? And
Or maybe find out, yeah, just out of curiosity. But I wouldn't, like, go out my way to tell them because, again, like, that it could cause them to worry about it as well. And you won't be able to change it anyway. Unless you wanted
Yeah,
to
because it
create
has to happen. Otherwise,
a
it wouldn't
ripple
actually have
in
been the future.
time. Yeah.
Time continuum.
Yeah. And you should have died within when that plane crashed. Now you haven't. And now there's ripples within the time.
I suppose knowing your future though would, even if you can't change those 10 minutes, it would affect your present because you wouldn't have been worried otherwise. But I suppose that was destined to happen because you were destined to see the 10 minutes happening.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything to do with time is a very long-winded thing that you've got to go into every crevice. A crevice of time, a desk of
Cranny.
Cheez-Its, a hammock of cake.
I need a poo.
How
How much longer are we gonna play? Because I
from
need
your
a poo.
random 10 minutes, you know you're gonna go for a poo, or
Well, yeah, that could be part of it. It could literally just be that.
maybe it's the startings of your needing a poo 24/7, 365.
You wake up in the morning and you see, like, the vision of you in the future just having a really big shit. It's just like, well, I got that to look forward
Probably
to.
look forward to that.
Yeah, yeah.
That wouldn't be a worry. It'd be like, come on, let's speed this up. I want it now.
Just be like, man, I can't wait for that shit.
So we best get thinking about the next episode. And
Yeah.
unless we see 2 minutes into our future, and then we
know we're
just
gonna play
steal
anyway.
the ideas from
Yeah.
that.
Or you see 10 minutes
Tatty
into
bye.
somebody else's future and realise that they think our podcast is shit, in which case, fuck you, we're doing it anyway. We're not doing it for
It's
views.
our thing, geezer. It's what we do.
Yeah, we're not doing it for views. We do it because we like to. And that's it.
But please like and subscribe and follow on whatever
Yeah.
media you are. That's one thing I don't get with the people still saying that stuff as if nobody knows how this system
Remember how
works.
YouTube works? You gotta like and subscribe.
And don't forget to flick the bell.
Flick that bean.
It'll be painful, but
I mean bell.
flick the bell.
Do the bean as well though, if you want. I don't care. As long as I don't have to hear it.
on the horse.
Yeah, on the horse. Whilst I'm
I bet people would subscribe
whilst
to
I'm on the
that
bucket.
shit.
People would subscribe to that.
Some
I'd be
not
surprised if-
not our target audience.
I was gonna
but
say, I'm surprised if YouTube would even allow that.
they'll make an exception for you.
In which case I would welcome
If,
it.
as long as it was artistic.
Alright, okay. Just add like a nice, like, grey fade in
Pattern on the bucket.
on the bucket. Yeah. Just zoom into the bucket and you just kind of see my shadow above it. Gyrating.
And
Play
it's
some, like-
subtitled in French.
Yeah, and play some classy music. Classical music. Well, on that note, we will see you.
I don't want to picture this anymore, so on that note, we will see you.
Bye. See you later, y'all. I'm gonna get my bucket.